Hey y'all, it is Nikki. Welcome back to the channel for an update on the latest character developments in my fantasy project. If you guys have been following along, you'll know I just finished part 3 of my fantasy project, and I think it went pretty well. I got to introduce a new character in the story. She had appeared in the prologue as like a little kid, but now part 3 started with her as an adult, or an adult-ish. I struggle to think of my characters as adults, even though they totally are. In my videos, I tend to call her Gwenevere, and I do have a reason for giving fake names for my characters. I will hopefully, Lord willing, one day get the chance to explain that, but right now, we're using code names for everybody. Let's talk about Gwenevere for a second. I know that I talked about her a lot in my romantic subplot video because, surprise, she is the female character in my romantic subplot. Initially, I feel like I sort of just invented her for the sake of being the girl for my MC, but that has been changing lately. I feel like in this draft, she's gone in the complete opposite direction. She's still the same kind of person. She's like super kind, this naturally compassionate character, and she and my MC, who for all intents and purposes will be called Arthur in this video, are just so adorable. They're like friends and just clearly have chemistry, but like aren't taking it really beyond that point at this point. They're also kind of like oblivious just about love and like feelings and stuff. So I think they're just taking it as a friendship for now, but they're just so cute together and I love them, love them, love them. In this draft, I actually introduced like another guy to the equation to create romantic tension and suspense a little bit, sort of. To be clear, it's not a love triangle. There is only one pair who will have romantic feelings for each other. But in this draft, there's this deep connection between Gwenevere and my other sort of like secondary male character, Gawain, which is not his real name, but I'm sticking to an Arthurian theme. That's the code name I'm going with. So in this draft, they have this past connection, like their pasts are sort of intertwined. And because of that, as I was writing it, it felt very like, I don't know, deep, as she's noting that like, oh, she feels really connected to this person because of that. I was writing it thinking, oh, like if I were a reader, I might interpret this as if there's like something between them, even though there's totally not. And then it hit me. Is this a golden opportunity to completely mislead and misdirect the reader in order to build suspense around the romantic subplot? The answer is yes, it was, but it did give me pause because it's risky, and I know it's risky because it happened in one of my favorite book series, actually probably my favorite book series, which, because of spoilers, I will not disclose. There was sort of like a understated casual love triangle thing going on. There was a girl, 2 guys. I obviously had one that I really wanted her to end up with. She didn't end up with that one, so at like 2 a.m. I'm finishing this book, sobbing, shouting at my book because of what the author had done to me by leading me astray. And even now, I struggle to go back and read the series because of all the lead up to that like sort of love triangle where they give you hope for the one character even though you know that it's not going to work out. So I really don't want to make that mistake. Even moving forward in the series to the next book, I found that I had really strong feelings of dislike for that female character for not choosing the character I wanted her to because I was just mad on behalf of my boy. That's a me problem. All that to say, that is why I hesitated when I thought of sort of throwing in this third person to the equation, because I was thinking, as the reader, I would probably ship Gawain and Gwenevere instead of Gwenevere and Arthur, and then I'd be really mad when those two don't get together. The warning bells were going off, but did I decide to do it anyway? Yes, I did. If I ever have readers, apologies in advance to my readers, but I hope that you guys ship the right people when the time comes, because they're actually really, really cute. That was a long tangent that wasn't really about Gwenevere's character specifically, but this part is. One of the hardest parts of writing a female character, I think, and I'm finding, is creating a strong female character who is not like irritating or obnoxious. I knew from the beginning that Gwenevere was not going to be like a warrior ninja princess character. I already have one of those, and historically speaking, my readers have not liked her. Like, they've really not liked her. So I'm working on her. But that's not Gwenevere at all. She's like strong in other ways, which is kind of what I like about her. But in this draft, she's also, in addition to just being like morally strong, she's also just super important, like to everything. It's kind of funny when you're just writing along, you know, you've created this like background sort of sidelines character who's not supposed to get in the way too much. And then it's like, oh, okay, she's pretty important to this plot line. Oh, all right, she has powers now. That's cool. Whoa, she could actually make or break this story. Whoa, she's at the center of everything. When did that happen? That has been so fun to write / discover. Like, I was not expecting her character to take over the story like this, but she's kind of becoming a star, and I'm willing to roll with it because I'm liking the way that it's playing. Moving on to Arthur. So Arthur has just been surprising me in this draft. Like, from the beginning, the one thing that I knew from the start about his character was that he's like a hot-tempered, kind of like driven by his emotions sort of character. He's the kind of character who would run into something because it feels right without really thinking it through. And like, I love him for that. But one thing that I have like struggled with a bit with his character was that I also knew that I wanted him to be quick to laugh, good-natured, has a good sense of humor, but it was hard to reconcile that with like this impatience. Anger is his immediate stress response, whether it's at himself or the people around him, but he's kind of all bluster. But that impatient side sort of seemed like out of tune with like a good-natured side. I wasn't sure how to make that work. But in this draft, I've realized that like, oh, this character is funny. Not funny, haha, laugh out loud funny, but funny in the sense that his stress response now is like these sarcastic, snippy comments. So his anger sort of comes out in like humor. It just brings me joy. It's making me love him more, and I also think that it's making him easier to love as a character, like from a reader perspective. Because when I was first writing him, looking back, I think that I was less focused on making him like relatable and more focused on just making him as boss and as cool as possible. It was coming right out of my like Lord of the Rings obsession. So I probably still had a crush on Aragorn and just wanted to create a character like Aragorn who's just cool in like every way. He's still cool, but I like him more now because he's also like relatable and flawed, and like he makes me laugh. Humor in his character is new in the sense that I've never let it play before, but it's old in the sense that I've always sort of imagined him this way. So it's been really fun to just let that play and like explore that for once. And finally, Gawain. Guys, this character is so tragic, it's not even funny, and like it just keeps getting worse. I feel like a tyrant for what I am putting him through. Originally, I think he was sort of like a Legolas-inspired character. He was supposed to be this sort of untouchable forest warrior who like doesn't talk much, and when he does, it's always to make an observation or sense something important. He had anger issues initially, and then in later drafts he was just working through like some trauma, and now he's just a mess, but lovably so, hopefully. What has changed in his character in this draft? So many things. So many things. I think he's probably the character that's changed the most. That might not be true, but he's up there for sure. He has like 4 different names now, which he did not have before, and even the name that I was using before, I'm now spelling it differently. I'm getting used to calling him a bunch of different things. Also though, and this is my favorite part, he's gone from being just a conflict character to like a sort of annoying rival character to a reluctant villain. And there's a character like that in the Stormlight Archive named Zethson Valano, Truthless of Shinovar, who wore white on the day he was to kill a king. That's a line borrowed from the series. And he's sort of a similar vibe. Like, he's bad, but at the same time, he feels like he doesn't have a choice. He feels like powerless to sort of stop it or resist it or turn good. You feel bad for him even as you're like mad at him for doing these awful things. It makes for a really interesting character, and I'm loving that Gawain has moved in that direction. Tragic and like dark in the sense that the corruptive influences in his life have just like reduced him to a shell of a person, but also more sympathetic and more likable in that in his heart of hearts he is trying to resist it and he wants to be a better person, but he can't. I feel like, at least in this first book, he is the one who has the most like sort of spiritual richness in his character and in where his character is going. And I'm excited to use him to just reflect that idea of being without Christ just completely lost and unable to like save ourselves, even if we might try. He as a character is so self-aware of like how dark he is on the inside and how dark he's become, but he like wants to be better. He does. He just feels powerless to change anything, so he's sort of giving up. And he's reaching that surrender point where he will actually be able to find the light by surrendering to the higher power. So I feel like that could be a really, really powerful sort of like parallel and spiritual message of encouragement for all of us who have been in the same spot where you just feel like, I'm completely lost and I can't fix it myself. I need Jesus. We do. That's the solution. And this character is going to find that out fairly soon. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to like and subscribe and comment below with the most drastic change you have ever made to a character from draft to draft. And as always, remember to spend some time in the clouds today.